Jesus. Because, and then God begins to manifest his presence. But I'm making a point here about where you live is in the will of God. You live in God. You are inside of God. It's almost like we make up the substance of God. We together then, he says that you bring your glory that God has given you, and I bring my glory that God has given me, and together we'll release the glory of God because we dwell in God and we walk in God and we share this place in God, and we're comfortable here as the enemy tries to try everything that he can do, and it doesn't matter because we're in God. Now let me show you one more scripture, and then I promise I'll be quiet and just let you think for a minute. Book of John, chapter 15, verse 1 through 8. I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. And every branch that bears fruit, he prunes that it may bear more fruit, which is a sermon in itself. You are already clean because of the word which I have spoken to you. Could you imagine being clean just because of a word? A word. If God just speak a word, if God could just give me a word, if God could just say a word. Have you ever just been in a place where you're standing still and God says the word is go, or the word is stop, or the word is pray, or the word is give, or the word is receive, or the word is healing, or the word is health, or the word is riches. He said, just because of a word, you're clean. Amen. You are already clean because of the word which I have spoken to you. Abide in me, and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself unless it abides in the vine. Neither can you unless you abide in me. He said, in me, be in me. Can you imagine God being pregnant with me? Oh, see, can you? I see. Well, I'm born already, though. I'm alive. I got a mind. I got a body. I got a will. I got a praise. But yet God is pregnant with you. Ooh, Jesus. And when the baby is in the stomach, then it gets nutrients from what the mother takes in, and it grows from what's taken in by the mother. It feels what the mother feels. The mother's stressed, the baby's stressed. If the mother's happy, the baby's happy. But as long as I dwell in the vine, I'm going to be all right. Can you say amen? Well, right there. Church, see, he says, I'm going to be pregnant with you. I want to carry you around with me. Yeah, people, there is when the baby is in the stomach, it's surrounded. See, it's in a liquid. It's surrounded, and it's like a protection. You know that there are cases where the mother contracted the AIDS virus, but the baby didn't. See, church, because of the womb protected the baby. See, the womb protected the baby. See, so as God walks around and I live in God and God is pregnant with me, which just blows my mind. Anyway, as God takes in things, then I begin to grow. I begin to get strong, and I begin to learn, and I begin to feel. But see, in my womb don't get stressed, and there's no worry, and there's no heartache, and there's no pain, and there's no unrighteousness, and there's no wrong. See, as long as you abide in God. I'm almost done. Abide in me, and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. Verse 5. I am the vine. You are the branches. He who abides in me and I in him bears much fruit, for without me you can do nothing. Amen. You know, we could preach on the word nothing all night long. Nothing. Verse 6, if anyone does not abide in me, he is cast out as a branch and is withered, and they gather them and throw them into the fire, and they are burned. If you abide in me, and my words abide in you, you will ask what you desire, and it shall be done for you. By this my Father is glorified, that you bear much fruit, so you will be my disciples. Listen, verse 8, if you abide in me, and my word abides in you, you will ask what you desire, and it shall be done. By this my Father's glorified. That means that every time you ask God of something and he gives it to you, God is glorified. So whenever you ask God to give you something and he gives it to you, God is glorified. So whenever you ask God to give you something and he gives it to you, God is glorified. So you better keep asking and keep asking and keep asking, because every time God gives it to you, he's glorified. Can you say amen? So here's my point. The only thing that can take you out of God is you. If you are lukewarm, he will vomit you out of his mouth. Why does God say vomit out of his mouth? Because you are in him. Oh, you are in God. You dwell in God. You live in God. You talk in God. You ask in God. But the moment you become lukewarm, he's got to vomit you out now. Terror by night. Now destruction. Now a 10,000 at one side and 1,000 cannot separate you from dwelling in God. But you can. Now I'm in God and I'm living in God, but the moment that I become lukewarm, he has to part ways with me. In Revelation, he said, I wish you were hot or cold. Now, it sounds to me, now, I don't know, I wanted to go into the Hebrew, I wanted to go into the Greek and look up the word lukewarm, and God said, you ain't got to do all that. Just stay hot. Just stay hot. You don't got to dissect it. You don't got to break it down. You don't got to find the root word. Just stay hot. If you just stay hot, just stay hot. Now, he says, I wish that you were hot or cold. It sounds like to me, now, church, I'm almost done. It sounds to me that if you're hot or cold, you can still remain in God. But if you're lukewarm, he got to vomit you out of him. Okay. The only thing that can separate you from God is being lukewarm. You do more damage when you're lukewarm, because they don't understand. See, those that are cold get confused with the lukewarm. And those that are hot get discouraged with the lukewarm, church. See, you got to, lukewarm is more of an enemy to God than cold. Because, and now I don't know now, but it sounds to me like even if you're cold, you can claim ignorance. You can claim I didn't know, I had a bad childhood, or I didn't grow up right, or they gave me liquor at a young age and they smoked in front of me. And if you're cold, you can stay in God until he heats you up. But see, when you're lukewarm, you become a true enemy to God. and you begin to confuse and you begin to discourage those that are around you. See, and check your temperature. Check your temperature. See, when the man at the end of the movie said, Lord, I want to thank you for conviction, I had to go into my prayer room and I had to check my temperature. See, the moment serving God becomes a chore. See, the moment serving God becomes a chore, the moment you think that you can do it on your own, or the moment you begin to start living on, and you begin to stop living by faith, and you begin, I'll tell you what, you ever been in one of them situations, you say, you know what, I thought last year was the worst year, but this year is even worse. But every moment and every day and every time and everything, it just seemed that somehow he makes a way, and that the things all fall together for the good of those who live in God. Now, check your temperature. Bishop, come and play something for me as I close. Because here's what I want you to do. If my landlord comes today and evicts me, she should have done it a long time ago. Do you feel me? If they come, it's almost like I'm just happy to be here. I'm just glad that I'm just glad to be married. I'm just glad that I have grandbabies. I'm just glad that we're gonna eat tonight. I'm not worried about tomorrow because I live in God, and I'm asking God to get me through today and to get prepared for me to come into tomorrow. Because see, as long as I stay hot, then I can stay in God. Check your temperature today. Don't get confused. See, a weapon of the enemy is mediocrity. A weapon of the enemy is redundancy. God is not redundant. He says, I renew day by day. Yesterday's grace isn't good enough for today. You need new grace today. I'm going to make old things pass away and all things become new. And God is not a redundant God. And it's not the same old problem. And it's not the same old devil. And it's not the same old conviction. It's that God is teaching you something. And as long as the umbilical cord there, it stays attached to your lifeline. Isn't it funny how the baby can live in the stomach, but it don't eat with its mouth? I told Pastor Misty the other day, I said, my belly button's gonna bite you. Isn't that funny? I don't even think that's so funny to me. But the baby is in the stomach, and it's the belly button. Is connected to the lifeline, and the nutrient comes in, and it feeds, and you grow, and the fingers are formed, and eyes are formed, and you know what? And the fetus, the baby, did nothing for it. It just took it in.